Mercedes Schlapp, thanks so much for joining the Daily Signal.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you work in the communications field at the White House. You see every day how the press corps is covering this president and the work that you're doing in this administration. What's the one thing our audience should know that isn't getting out there?
Well, first of all, I have to say the president is the communications director for all intents and purposes. But what I think is very important is that there's so much of this source, that source, palace intrigue, and the reality is that what the president is accomplishing from a policy standpoint is so historic and outstanding, even through the conservative lens. You look, for example, of what the president was able to accomplish with the tax cut legislation last year that has gone into effect, and the immediate impact that we saw through thousands of businesses coming out, giving bonuses, raising wages for workers, and really having a significant impact on American lives. As we know, the president, during his term, I mean, we've created 4 million jobs. I mean, that is significant. This is an economy that is fueled and ready to go and ready to launch. And I think what we're seeing is a very strong economy as we continue through the year.
Well, let's take some of those policy issues and talk about them. So you brought up the economy and jobs. Where do we go from here? Obviously, tax reform was a huge accomplishment in 2017. What are some of the things that you have in your sights here at the White House about how you take the next steps?
Well, as we look at the economic success story, there's 3 buckets to it. There's a tax cuts, as we've just talked about. There's a deregulation agenda, which, as we know, the president and his administration has superseded what they thought they were accomplishing. They went from 2 to 1 in removing regulations to over 13, 14 regulations they've taken out per regulation that's in. So there has been significant progress made in these agencies, and that has impact. It has impact in our business community, especially our small businesses, and quite frankly, it saves the government billions of dollars as well. In addition to that, third bucket being that of infrastructure. That's been one of the priorities for the president. It's actually now going through Congress in terms of where it's going to end up. As we know, one of the key things that the president is pushing is that of public-private partnership. I mean, we don't want to spend trillions and trillions of dollars like the Democrats want to do. We want to do this in a cost-effective manner, but at the same time have streamlined processes in place so that projects don't take 10 years. They take 2 years to get approved and get done. There is a real need to have investment in our infrastructure because that's what helps us to compete globally, and also it's been neglected for so long.
One of the other president's priorities is giving the military a big boost in spending, a much needed boost. At the same time, this bill that's going through Congress, the omnibus, a lot of conservatives today in the House voted against it. How does the White House view it? Obviously, there were some trades that the president didn't get everything he wanted, but at the end, you are supporting it.
Well, let's remember that Congress, it's just dysfunctional in terms of its budgeting process. For way too long, the president, last year, he submitted his budget. They didn't end up voting on it. This is time and time again that they've gone from short-term spending after short-term spending. That just creates so much instability, especially when it comes to our military. So when we were able to negotiate on the budget caps, now we're obviously going through the omnibus bill. It's a painful process. It's ugly. It's a lot of spending. But at the same time, there's so many of these priorities that are being funded, that being of the national military. As Secretary Mattis has said, as the president has said, we need to ensure that our military is ready. We need to ensure that our intelligence communities have what they need to do their jobs here and abroad. So it's very clear for the president that one of the things that the military needs to know is that they're able to spend time planning long term. And when they don't have these funds, when they go from short-term spending bill to short-term spending bill, they're not able to plan and really be prepared for the global threats that we're experiencing. I mean, you're talking about North Korea. We're dealing with a very sensitive international issue where we want to get to a point that we can denuclearize North Korea. That's also ensuring that we continue on our fight against ISIS. Those are priorities to ensure that we can stop terrorism dead in its tracks.
One of the other areas where there has been some dysfunction in Congress, there are many, has been Democratic obstructionism of the president's nominees. There are well over 100 who are waiting for confirmation, obviously a lot of judges in that mix as well. What more is the White House planning to do to ratchet up the pressure to get those done?
Well, I mean, the president has talked about this. This is a priority for the administration. Our cabinet secretaries are going on the Hill, talking to Democrats, saying we need our nominees to be confirmed. It's taken way too long. This is something that it is why the president has talked time and time again. Get rid of the filibuster. He just mentioned it in the millennial event today, which is the idea that the Senate can just be controlled by these small group of Democrats and not allowing our nominees to go through. As we know, the president has been a champion in terms of ensuring that we have conservative judges in place, starting with our Supreme Court Justice pick of Neil Gorsuch, but also being able to pass through so many and get confirmed so many of our nominees, our judicial nominees, that, as we know, it's a long-term investment for our courts.
Certainly. Well, we are here at the White House for the Generation Next event with millennials.
I should add, I'm not a millennial, by the way.
And what
I'm the mother of like Generation Z. Is that what Gen Z is? That what it is?
I think so.
Yes,
Yes,
I think
yes.
I have 5 kids, so those are all in the Gen Z category. So there you go.
Well, I want to ask you because obviously the president spoke to them today. There have been several other couple cabinet secretaries speaking to them. What is the message that this administration has for this millennial generation or the generation that follows?
Well, I think that the president is providing a message of hope and saying that America is strong. It's not only about the America First message, but is that of having so much pride in America. I think millennials get a lot of bad raps in a lot of ways as, oh, do they work hard? Do they not? And I think the president wants to say, listen, we need you part of our economy. We want you to contribute and do great things and accomplish your dreams here in America. And I'm here to ensure that you have the economic opportunities, the social opportunities to be able to succeed in America. I mean, I remember back in the Obama years when we were talking about the kids moving in their parents' basement, and the president is saying, get out of the basement, let's get to work. We are creating all these jobs. We want to make sure that we're able to match your skills with what is happening in our economy. And we're also saying, you know what, you might not go to college for 4 years. It's not just one track. We're talking about vocational education in general. We're saying that every millennial matters, that whether you're going to go to college or not, that there's opportunities and training for you that we want to make sure are available to you. And that's why the president is ensuring that we're investing in workforce development, which is one of his priorities.
Mercedes, thanks so much for joining the Daily Signal.
Thank you for having me.